Next, we will look at the EU's definition of formal learning. The EU is the European Union. When these nations in Europe decided to form their union, they had to agree on terms of what formal education in these countries would mean. And that was important because then we come to know that across nations in the European Union, education will be of a particular standard. And the world has taken on what the European Union decided then in 2001. Formal learning, according to the EU, typically is provided by an education or training institution and is structured. So there are two key terms right here. There has to be an institution and there has to be some structure. The institution could be a school, college, university, technical training, vocational training place, on-the-job training, whatever it might be. And structured, it cannot be left loose. It cannot be open. And they gave the guidelines for the structure. Structure in terms of objectives. Why are we teaching whatever we are teaching to our students? What is the objective? What will the student gain? And what will the student be able to do? So the objectives actually lead to the outcomes. The objectives are what the teacher hopes to achieve. The outcomes are what the student should be able to do now with the new content, new knowledge, new information, new concept, and new skills that he or she has learned. Learning time needs to be structured. How much time are we going to give? Equal time to all subjects? Will certain subjects get more time? Which subjects are more important? Which subject should get more time? Learning time is not time to waste. And learning time is not babysitting. Learning time is learning time. It's time in the classroom that the teacher should be teaching and the students should be learning. Or learning support. Learning support is more than just the textbook. In our case, if our students have textbooks, teachers are happy. But there is much more learning support that is needed other than the textbook. It could be in form of worksheets, printouts, workbooks, could be manipulatives, could be hands-on things that students can feel and experiment with. In the sciences, it could be glassware, lab material, art material. All these things need to be provided to the students. Learning materials are critical. Learning cannot happen just with a printed textbook. And all this leads to a certification. So at the end of a program, you get a certificate, a diploma, or a degree, something that testifies that you spent so much time, you spent so many years, this is what you've achieved, this is what you've studied, this is where you stand in the community of students for that particular year. Formal learning is intentional from the learner's perspective. That's the student. The student comes to class and the student needs to have some intentions. Why am I here? What am I going to gain? What do I want to get out from here with? If the learner does not have these intentions pre-planned, in the middle of a program, it becomes difficult to decide where you're going. You need to make that decision at the beginning of the program to help you move smoothly through however many years that program may be. Preschool, probably 2 to 3 years. Elementary school, 5 years. Middle school, 3 years. High school, 4 years. And then, of course, university, 4-year bachelor's, 2-year master's, and so on. So all these programs are timed. And every time you finish one set, you move into the next automatically. Learning that is not provided by an education or training institution and typically does not lead to certification, according to the EU, is non-formal learning. EU also brought forth a definition of what they claim to be non-formal learning. It is not provided in an institution. Non-formal learning can happen on the sports ground, can happen in the drama club, can happen in the music society, can happen under different arenas. And does not lead to a certification. No coach gives you a certificate, no drama group gives you a certificate, and so formal learning is one that ends with certifications. Non-formal learning does not end with a certification. However, it is structured in terms of learning objectives, learning time, or learning support. Again, the three basics that were part of the formal education also now is part of non-formal education or non-formal learning. You need to know, why are you coming to learn this sport? What are the objectives? What will be the outcomes? How much time you're going to spend before you really become a pro at playing whatever you're learning to play, and what support. You cannot learn cricket without a bat and a ball and without wickets and all that. So the material, the learning support needs to be there. And the learning support does not end with just the physical things and the material things that you need, but the learning support also comes in terms of psychological and emotional support for the learner.